Welcome. I'm going to give everyone a couple minutes to get in. I see people are streaming in. This is good. Hello. Where are you guys calling in from? Y'all can write it in the chat. Put your name, where you're calling in from.
See any just yet. Hello, everyone. Hey, Terry.
Hey, Tia. Welcome. Welcome. There we go. Lee, Monica, Trista, Sharon, Annette. Oh, good. I'm seeing Charlotte, Maryland, Jersey, Atlanta. Oh, this is awesome. Hey, guys. Nice. We already got 111 people on, and I'm sure there's some more coming. They had to tell their boss that they needed to go to the restroom for an extended period of time. I'm telling y'all, like, I have like the worst horror stories from work. When I was working, me and my other assistant principal used to like take turns crying in the bathroom. So if anybody on here is feeling a little pressure, know that we are with you. You are okay. Say, you laughing at me?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a while, but I know when I talk to my friends who are still in corporate, it's still the same. It doesn't really change all that much. So
Yep.
I remember.
That probably, yeah. You frost. Girl. Okay, so we're gonna get started because I want to make sure we respect everybody's time. A couple of notes. Last time I realized that I did not introduce myself. And I was so excited about Danielle Leslie that I didn't even tell you guys who I am. And this is the beautiful Danielle Pierce too. So I'm so excited for you guys to like just hear her story, hear how she earned her million. So welcome, Danielle.
Well, thank you, Terry. I'm so glad to be here. Hey, everyone.
Hello. And then, so quick introduction of me, and then we will jump right in. The way this works is really, it's about 30 minutes of just hearing Danielle's story, letting her talk a little bit about how she made her millions, giving some inspiration, and then we open it up to some questions from you all. So make sure that if you do hear something that resonates or you have a question, that you put it in the chat. Like, one really cool thing about the fact that this is a webinar series is that we get to hear from you too. So this is really cool. Yeah. And then for introductions real quick. So my name is Terry Ijeoma. I'm not sure if you can hear me the best because I'm currently calling in from South Africa and our Wi-Fi has been sketchy. So quick disclaimer, if my Wi-Fi does mess up, then Danielle knows that she can just take it and run with it. And also you may see someone from my team jump on. Also, you can see a little glisten of sweat because it is hot, y'all. It is hot in South Africa. And, and the air conditioner in my place is not working right. Even when you get $1 million, you still have issues. They don't stop the regular issues of just craziness. So welcome. And once again, I'm Terry Ijeoma. I see most of you all are in now, so that's good. You're here. But I am a stock trader, stock and options trader, and that's how I made my first million, through trading stocks and then also teaching people how to trade. And I run a school called Trade and Travel where, like I said, we're teaching people how to trade, but our goal is to help 1,000 people to make $1,000 in a day by trading stocks and options. And when my team and I really thought about that, we were like, oh my gosh, 1,000 people making $1,000 in a day, that's $1 million that we'll be generating on a regular basis. Then we started thinking of all the things that we could do with that. Like, what kind of impact could we have with $1 million? We could maybe solve the issues of Africa with clean water and electricity. We could help education. We could just do all these really cool things. But then we started thinking, but some people don't even think that $1 million is possible. They've never seen it. They've never heard anybody who had it. So what can we do to just introduce our audience and everyone to some cool people that have been making $1 million to just open up our mindsets and broaden our horizons? So that's where this series came from. And we are so excited to just present to you some other beautiful women of color, especially during Black History Month, and just beautiful entrepreneurs that have been successfully hitting this $1 million mark or million of something mark. All right. So with that said, welcome, Danielle.
Hi, Terry. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, would you mind introducing everyone to or introducing yourself to everyone? Tell
Sure.
them who you are and how you made your first million.
Absolutely. So I'm Danielle Pierce. I'm the creator of Real Estate Profit Lab. So I help people get started in real estate without making any sales, specifically property preservation, specifically tax lien investing. So I've been a full-time entrepreneur since 2007. I, like a lot of people, had the goal I was going to climb the corporate ladder and, break the glass ceiling. I was going to be partner in a public accounting firm and all these things, ideas that I had. And then I started working and I was like, yeah, nah, this is not the life for me. Like, I just cannot see myself staying here, and definitely I would go to work and people, senior managers and partners would complain every day about how much they hated their job. They hated their coworkers, they hated their boss, but they've been there for like 20, 25, 27 years. And I was just like, yeah, this is not going to be the life for me. So I, left one company, went to another company, and it was even more boring than the first. And then they started doing layoffs. And so this is a funny story, Terry. I was praying to get laid off. Well, like a lot of people are doing right now, they're like, oh, I want to quit my job. I hate my job. I'm sick of them people, yada, yada, yada. So I got what I asked for. Then I wasn't ready. Then I got all this. I got I got paid for 6 months after being laid off, and I got a lump sum settlement, like a payoff thing. It was like $30,000. And of course, growing up broke like I did, I thought $30,000 was. I was like, I'm rich. Like, I don't need to do nothing but just live my best life. And then I spent all that money and I was like, wow. So now I got to figure out this whole entrepreneur thing. And I've done a bunch of different things within real estate, but I've always been in that one industry. And the thing that got me my first $1 million was actually an industry called property preservation, which is basically doing the repair and maintenance for bank owned properties. So that was how that happened. And I mean, it's more to the story as far as like how, when did I set the goal and how long did it take to get there and things like that. But that's the Black story in a nutshell. Wait, you're mute.
So, I want to hit on a point that you mentioned. Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So you said that you got that 30,000, but you weren't ready.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, I guess there's two parts to the question. One is, how would you encourage someone to get ready? Like, if money is coming their way, like, how can they get ready?
So I would say a couple of things. Number one, a lot of people say that they want to leave their job, but the fact of the matter is that probably 99% of people who say that aren't ready. For example, if you go into work tomorrow and you got laid off, if the thought of that freaks you out and fills you with anxiety and trepidation and fear, then you need that job. And it's okay to need the job. You just have to own it and stop like resisting. I call it fighting reality. You got to stop fighting reality. Like, this is the job that you have and you need it for right now, and it's okay. So in order to prepare for having your own business or starting your own business, of course, people talk about the circles that you hang around with, and that's important. It's important to continuously refill the well of motivation and ambition, because if you go to events, you get motivated and then you leave that event or that person or that meeting and then it fades. So you have to constantly replenish that. And a lot of people, we fall short in doing that. We do things one time and we think it's going to last forever, and then that effect fades and then we're back to square one. And if you're going to work every day around people who hate their job and everyone's all employees, then it just rubs off on you. So you're either gonna stay where you are, or you're gonna have to force yourself to get out of that environment. So that's one way to be ready.
Ooh, okay. I heard a couple things there. You said they are fighting reality.
Yeah.
And then you got you said you got to replenish the well. Okay, now wait. Let's talk about this fighting reality, because I actually think that you are so right. There are a lot of people that see on Instagram all these other entrepreneurs that are doing their thing, and they're like, I want to start a business. But the reality is they're just not ready. Like, that's not their gifting, that's not their skill set. Like they need a consistent, secure paycheck. So like what's an example of someone or some yeah, do you have any examples or thoughts on that? Like I would like to hear more about this fighting reality.
Fighting reality in terms of people who are not ready to start a business.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that one example I like to use, and this sometimes gets me in trouble, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Hey,
I
go ahead,
there,
girl.
there's a huge movement around, you know, accountability or having someone kind of force you to do things, and I look at that as that can be beneficial, but I also look at it in this way. If you really wanted to trade stocks or lose weight or invest in tax lien properties or whatever that thing is, why do you need someone to remind you every single day to do that one thing that you really want to do? Like somebody's lying to themselves. And so I think that we have to, again, come to terms with reality. Like if you really want to do something, there's no way you should need a daily reminder to get that done. Like it's just no way that no one can convince me that that's something that's necessary. Like if you want this, then you put forth the effort to make it happen. I mean, I talk to people all the time, virtually or through email, and they watched the latest Netflix show every single time. They didn't watch all the specials, all the movies, all the series. Like they're up to date, all the new stuff as it comes out. And it's like, how is it that you don't have time to do this thing that you want to do, but you got 4 free hours a day to watch Netflix, or you're watching, 6 hours a day of TV? That's a long time. Like that's inexcusable. Just my 2 cents anyway.
Oh no, I agree with you. Like we definitely find time for the things that we want to find time for.
Mhm.
And like you I will hear someone say, "Oh, well, I'm sorry, I didn't have time to do that." But then when you hear what they did have time for, "Oh yeah, I had this date and then I had to watch the whole series of of whatever it is." It's usually not even one. It's like, "Yeah, I had to watch all
Yeah,
of of this thing,"
of
and then it's
power, right?
usually
Because
right,
something like that.
all of power, all of what's the one with the Lord, not the Lord of the Rings, but the one with
Uh,
the girl with the red,
I
the
can't.
white hair.
Yeah, I can't remember her. Game of Thrones. That's what you.
Yes,
Yeah, I did
yes.
like that, but I've only seen 2 episodes of it.
Girl, if you had time to watch all of Game of Thrones, then you have time to develop yourself. You really do. And then we go and we look for the next one. As soon as our first Netflix one is over, then we go look for the next one. And then when somebody says, "Oh, what about that course that you were taking?" "Oh, I just haven't had time."
Yeah,
We definitely got to check ourselves.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And now what about, so what do you think has, like, what are the three skill sets you would say have allowed you to be successful in business?
Um, it would be consistency. A lot of times we like to think that people that are super successful are just, naturally smarter, naturally brighter, or they have more money, or they come from rich families. But most of the time it comes down to your daily actions, what you do day in and day out. So being consistent, being laser focused. Now granted, I wasn't always laser focused. Like I said, I did a bunch of different things within real estate, like trying to figure it out. It's like, oh, I'm gonna do short sales, I'm gonna do foreclosures, I'm gonna be a buyer's agent, I'm gonna be a seller's agent, I'm gonna be a listing, like all these different things that I was trying. I have this slideshow, or this screen rather, that I've been tracking my money by source and by month every year since 2008 or nine, when my first mentor introduced me to it. And there's one year in particular where, Terry, I did like 7 different things and only made $30,000. So
Wow.
looking back, it's obvious to me that if you had just put all your energy into one thing, you could have made more than $30,000. But we automatically think doing more things means more money. Just means that you're going to be mediocre at a bunch of different things and you're still not going to make a whole bunch of money. So laser focus is the other thing. Consistency, laser focus. And then I would add this now, in the past couple years. I wasn't always like this in the beginning, but I would say actively fostering connections with other entrepreneurs. Because, like I said, you got to replenish your well. You got to stop being a one woman show or one man show and get out of your silo. I used to say things like, "Oh, I'm a control freak," or I know how I like things done, and you can't trust people." But honestly, that's just fear. So that was just me being scared and not wanting to talk to other people and not wanting to make those connections and get out of my comfort zone. But I called it something else. So that would be those three things right there.
What did you call it? Do you remember what you called
I
it?
called it like I'm too smart, I got this covered. I don't need any help. That the strong black woman syndrome, any number of names that I gave it, but it all just boiled down to, and you scared to talk to these other people. You scared to to be uncomfortable. You in order to get to do anything great, you got to be uncomfortable, and it's so not fun, but so worth it. So
Oh
my
my
ego.
gosh.
Yeah, it is ego too. Yeah,
Yes.
it
Oh
was.
my gosh. Y'all, if y'all just heard Danielle drop a gem, put facts in the chat box because she is dropping all kinds of gems. I heard mediocre at best. She was
Yeah, and that's me talking about
like,
myself. I was just like, Danielle, this was so trash right here. Like, what? Like, I literally, I wish I could screen share. I sold used cars. I was a real estate agent, so I sold like 4 houses that year. Because again, I'm dabbling, right? So the thing I don't like dabblers. And I don't think that dabbling is the way that you're going to be successful in anything. So when I'm talking to or other people are looking to hire other entrepreneurs, I want you to be a specialist. Like, I want you to specialize and know what you're doing. I don't need you to be trying something out, testing the waters. I don't want your sandbox offer. You can keep all of that for, somebody else. Like, I want people who know exactly what they're doing, going to give me an exact result. So dabbling is a no, and it's not a popular opinion, but it happens to just so be true.
oh my gosh, y'all are so getting like this is a serious $1,000 mentor session. Like this is so good. I feel like you're saying the things that we need to hear, but that nobody says. Like, look, if you're doing a ton of things at the same time and you're not making money, then that's not going to work. If you're a dabbler and you're just trying to figure things out, don't sell yourself as a specialist because everybody, they want somebody who's a specialist. Even we want people that are specialists, but
Absolutely.
then we go and we do 15 things and then try to make everything work.
Yeah, and
Oh my
convinced people
gosh.
don't spend money, you guys. That's the other thing you got to know too. So whatever it is you're doing, it don't have to be real estate. Whatever it is that your thing is, if you're confusing your audience, they're not going to buy with you because they don't know what the hell you do. They like, well, you were just doing travel, and now you're doing a flip, and now you're trying to get me to invest, sign up for you under FES with you or and do credit. Like people that are confused do not spend money. So you're not serving anybody well, most of all yourself.
Man, oh my gosh. Okay, now, okay, I would like to pivot a little bit. So let's talk about real estate. So, so if you were dabbling in a lot of different things, how did you then land on like what you do now?
Okay, so what happened is I heard about property preservation from a broker of mine, and he told me about it. I was like, oh, I'm going to do that. So I typically will make decisions kind of like that. But the difference this time is that I was like, I'm going to do this, and this is all I'm going to do. I ain't working with no more buyers, not working with no more sellers. I ain't driving nobody else through Beverly that can only afford to live, that only is approved for $100,000. Like, I'm just not doing that anymore. Like there's so many books on that too. There's this book called The One Thing. There's other books as well. I really love The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, where he talks a lot about just the myths around entrepreneurship. But I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing all the other stuff. I'm going to make this work. I'm going to put all my energy into this, and I'm not going to switch. And I did. And so the very first full year of doing that, we made like $333,000. And I was just like, oh, good call, Danielle. And then I just stayed with it. That's literally what happened. I just told myself that you're not doing all that other stuff. I
Oh my
stopped chasing
goodness.
dollars and was like, I'm going to go after where I know I can make money at.
And see, part of that I think is knowing yourself because I did done a similar pivot. I was in real estate for a while and I was helping lots of people to move every summer, but then I got to a point where it just wasn't satisfying anymore. And I didn't actually want to do the details of the work. So I think sometimes people get this ideal thing in their head of like, oh, I'm going to do real estate. But then they don't think about all the little things that come under it. That means you have to do paperwork. That means you're going to be on the phone making cold calls. That means you're actually going to have to talk to people. That means you're going to have to drive them around. Like there's all these other jobs underneath it to be successful, but people don't think about that. They're
Not to
just like,
mention marriage
oh,
counselor, therapist, life coach, social worker. When you're talking about selling real estate, people, that is like the most emotional decision that people will make for the most part. And that just was not my ministry. I was, I guess, too cut and dry for that. I remember helping my best friend buy her house, and she didn't tell me at the time, but years later, she was just like, "You were just so matter of fact." I was like, "Well, she wanted a house so bad she was willing to pay more than what it was valued at." And I was just like, well, this is not making sense to me. But she wanted the house, so it was the emotional attachment to that. So I don't know, I digress.
okay, so this is going to be a random question. And somebody asked, can you repeat the name of the book that you gave?
Oh, the one thing and the e-myth, they already posted in there by
There we
Mike.
go. There we
Yeah.
go. One. So this is a little bit of a side note, but how do you respond when people say that you're so matter of fact? Because I feel like sometimes as a successful person, like we have unique personalities, and they might not be like everybody else. And like, how have you ever dealt with somebody who couldn't deal with who you were, and how?
Yes. So that is such a great question. Let me get my answer together for that. So I've always been very direct, and so somebody made a post one time on Facebook. They said, yeah, people are always talking about keeping it real, but maybe you're getting joy in actually, stinging people a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit of pleasure that you're getting from that. So I had to, I asked myself, am I getting joy or pleasure in one upping somebody or just stabbing somebody through the heart, even if it's just for a second? Like, is that part of it? And I think that may have been part of it, but then also then the other part of kicked in, where it was like, this is who I am. It's so easy to say, this is who I am, this is how God made me, you either gonna take me or leave me, yada 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 yada. But I was like, nah, I can do better than that. There's some growth that needs to happen. So I am actually going to do a communication access to power course that's offered by Landmark, because it was highly recommended to me from one of my coaches and some other people as well, because I do want to, they say people don't remember what you say, they remember how you made them feel. So I don't want people to feel like I'm being rude or curt or short. So I want to have the same style. Like, I'm not going to change my whole personality, but I am going to tailor it more so that that feedback doesn't happen. And it's not super common, but it has been very consistent. People are like, oh, well, you were very curt. And I was just like, oh, well, you asked me a question and I answered it. Like, I didn't know that. Like, I think you have a
Girl,
really
I'm
good.
with you. Yes, it's like, well, you asked me this, I said the answer. That was the answer.
And sometimes that is offensive.
Yeah.
So I don't want to change who I am, but I am going to see where I can grow in that area. That's what I'm looking to do.
And Jazz asked, let me see if I can get it back. She said, how did your personality grow with you on this journey?
You know what? I actually ended up in the two things that I do. So the property preservation is repairing and maintaining foreclosed properties for banks, and then tax lien investing. So those two areas actually mesh very, very well with my personality. There's not day to day client interaction. There's not day to day like being on and talking to people. It's more so that it comes in spurts. So I sometimes have to talk to people, talk to clients, but it's not every single day as being a traditional buyer's agent or a seller's agent. So those two fields actually work for me. So I would tell anybody else who's watching, find the fields that the industries or the paths that align with who you are already, versus trying to fit yourself into something that doesn't fit. Like, you can change a little bit, but if it's a drastic change, it's not, you may do it, but it won't be long term, and it's gonna be, you're gonna be miserable in the process.
That's so true. That's so true. I actually feel the same way. For a long time, I used to do operations jobs where I was in charge of a whole bunch of stuff at the same time. And then I realized that I was getting so overwhelmed by managing so many things that I was really like, kind of, when people would ask me questions, I would kind of lash at them, not on purpose, but I was just so overwhelmed. I didn't know how to manage everything that was around me. So now I've learned in my current jobs, I need jobs where I can really focus on one or two things and do those really well. And then I'm more at peace. I'm not always, so overwhelmed and stressed. And then I can communicate better with people. But that is just some serious awareness.
I want to
That's
put that
that's really good.
somebody had made a comment. They said, and I see this feedback a lot. They'll say, how do you, pick or focus on one thing when you're great at a lot of different things? And so, my, again, unpopular opinion to that response to that is that most people are only great at one or two things. I mean, I know we all have a bunch of gifts and talents, et cetera, but if you could think back to when you were a child or think back to when you were a young adult, and everybody has this one thing that they do magnificently well. And people are like, well, how did you do that? Like, where did you learn that from? And it just comes very, very easily to them. So I don't think that people are good at, seven different things. Like, I just find that really hard to believe. Like, you may think that you might be, but in terms of, the reality of it, I'm not sure. And then also, you could just ask your audience to ask the people around you, the people that are closest to you, what do they think about you? What do they think that you're good at? What is your strong suit? And you'll be surprised because what you think you're good at is so different than what, how people perceive you.
That's true. And it might be that you're good at one thing, but it's a skill set that can be seen in different areas. So, like, people tell me that I'm a good teacher, and that shows up when I'm ministering. So, like, if I had to do a sermon, I'm able to break things down easy. Or if I'm teaching something like stocks, I'm able to break things down easy. But it's not that I'm good at multiple things, it's just that I'm a good teacher, and then that kind of runs through a lot of different things.
That's so perfect. Like, that's the thing that I was trying to, that I'll be trying to tell people. Like, find that thing that flows and ebbs through, different industries. Like, that's it. So you don't have to be doing, you don't have to be on Instagram talking about how you're gonna marry people now. You're gonna be a preacher. Like, you don't have to do that. You could it's effortless. Like, that's what I'm looking for.
That's good. And now some people are saying they want to know more about your business. So I will switch gears again, guys. I'm sorry. I love Danielle, and I just love, like, she has the best, like, gems. Like, you'll be hearing her talk, and all of a sudden she'll throw out something. You like, whoa, wait, what was that? Okay, so let's get back to the real estate and preservation of properties.
Yes.
So you decided that you're going to focus on this real estate thing,
Yep.
and then you made $330,000 that first year.
Yep.
How did you make that grow? Like, how did it grow into a million? Well, you've made over 3 million doing this. Like, how did it grow?
Just staying consistent. So the way that you get started in preservation is you have to have a business structure. It can't even be a sole proprietorship, although I've gotten away from kind of recommending that. So it could be an LLC or a partnership or whatever you want to do, but you have to have a business. You have to pass a criminal background check. So again, not credit, so your credit score doesn't matter, but it's basically they're looking for felonies. So if you have any felonies, then you have to work with someone who doesn't have felonies. So business structure, background check, general liability insurance, errors and omissions, which is also professional liability insurance, possibly workman's compensation insurance, depending upon where you live and the company that you get your contract with. And then commercial auto, that's not a big deal to get. That just takes like a 5 minute phone call. And then once you have all those things in place, then you're just applying with some of the national preservation companies to get a contract to cover a specific area. So I will say that a lot of people always ask, do you work with Bank of America or Chase or Wells Fargo? And you do. But the thing you got to know about this industry, and this is how a lot of industries have gone, is everything is outsourced now. So Bank of America don't want to be bothered. Chase don't want to be bothered. Wells Fargo, they outsource all of the repair and maintenance work to what's called a servicing company. And that's where you get your contract. So you get a contract with them and you can cover, a whole state, which I don't really recommend, a specific county, multiple counties, specific zip codes. You can work in other states, but also I stopped recommending that as well because most people don't have the skill set or the time management to be able to pull that off in the very beginning. And then you're just doing all the repairs and maintenance. So maybe you're doing an eviction, maybe you're doing a trash out, maybe you're doing landscaping, maybe you're doing a board up, and you just do all the things that people do to properties when they're leaving or after they've been foreclosed on. And then once the property sells, then you're no longer dealing with the property. You just move on to the next one. Yep.
So if so what I'm hearing, just to make sure that I get it right.
Mhm.
So once you've applied and you've gotten approved by the city, then if a house needs anything, whether that's like weather weather protection and you got to board it up
Yep.
or make sure the water and stuff is
Mhm.
cut off, or whether that's like cutting the grass, all those things to maintain the property while it's being in foreclosure is what you would
Yep.
do. Like that's what your company would do.
That is correct.
Now, how do okay? Y'all know I'm gonna ask the questions that nobody else asks. So, how do people feel when they see a black woman walk in the door and this is your company?
Well, they don't feel no type of way when they see because they don't see me because I don't know how to do any field work. But I do inspections still, but like actual like I can't even change a lock. Like I could put a lockbox on and I'll take photos, but that's it. But I have a team, so you can either do the work yourself. Like if you have the skill set, you can do the work yourself, or you can outsource and hire subcontractors. But I will tell you that the subcontractors that I work with, the police, I typically talk to a police officer probably once a month on average. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, depending upon the neighborhood. But they come to a property. They're there. Let's say they're doing a lock change and they're starting the trash out, which is taking everything out of the property. And the neighbors come and they call the police. So it happens pretty consistently, just like clockwork. So I always tell the contractors, like, hey, if you got any warrants or anything like that, you can lie to me. But I'm just trying to tell you, the police are often involved in these properties because some neighbor has called the police, thinking that you're breaking into a property at, I don't know, 11 o'clock in the morning. And it happens. So, and I haven't quite, I mean, there's no way to get around it at this point. Yeah.
Wow, so they just doing their job, trying to do what you've paid them to do, and the police get called on
And the
them.
police go. Yep. And it hasn't been any issues with that so far, knock on wood. So it hasn't been anything extreme. Um, in Texas, though, Texas is open carry, right? I don't know if you knew that. So my brother had a situation where he was at a property and the neighbor just came out with it was either an AK-47 or some type of assault, some type of machine gun or something like that. And he was like, hey, what are you doing at the property? What's going on? Why are you over here? Yada, yada, yada. A lot of people claim ownership of properties that are next to them in this
Mm,
weird way. They're like, oh, this is my property. I'm going to buy it. You said going to buy it, which means it's not yours, which means you could just be minding your business, right? So that
right.
you have to deal with that.
Oh my gosh! Like I could just imagine somebody come out walking out with a big gun on me. Oh my! Oh no,
Yeah.
that is not okay.
Yes.
Um, okay. And so, like, okay, let me ask you a couple more questions about this $1 million part.
Yes.
So now that you've made $3 million,
Mhm.
so how did you feel? First of all, how did you feel when you made your first million, or even now? Like, how do you feel about being someone who earns millions of dollars?
I it's weird to hear it to be quite honest. And so to back up a little bit, I have of course I set goals and been doing this also since my very first mentor told me to do so. So I had on my goal list starting at about 2009 that I wanted to be a millionaire by the age of I think I had 35 on there. So 2009 was how many years ago? 11 years ago. And how old am I? 40. So it's 31. Yeah, somewhere in there. So I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire by the age of 35. I'm going to be a millionaire by the age of 35. And then the first million happened in 2000 and it happened a couple years after I was 35. And I was just like, holy crap, it worked. I mean, I wasn't 35, so I didn't hit it right on the head. But I realized that looking back, I should have set the goal a lot higher. Like I feel like whatever your goal is, you should just 10x it for everybody who's watching. Because we always set realistic, comfortable goals that make us feel good. But those goals don't motivate you to forego watching your favorite show on Netflix because the goal is too low. You know what I mean? Like if your goal is, oh, I'm just gonna make an extra $1,000 a month. Well, that's not enough money for you to be excited about to do anything. So you're probably not gonna do what it takes to get that $1,000. If you say 10,000 extra on top of what you're already doing at your job, then that's a different story. So I would have set the goal higher and I would have been more specific. I would have instead of saying I want to have $1 million or earn $1 million, I would have said I want to have this amount of $1 million in cash, like here, as opposed to just earning it. So there's a difference between the two. But I just would have set the goal significantly higher. But then it happened, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then it happened again, and I was just like, okay, this is kind of cool. And now I'm more so in grind mode. I have a business coach I'm working with now very closely. It's costing me a pretty good amount of money. I'm not even going to tell you the amount because I know it's a lot. But
Yeah, you got the goals though.
yeah, I got goals to hit, and so now it. Once you see it, you guys, even let's just back up. Not even $1 million. Once you make your first dollar on your own, that out with using your own skill set and your own brain without some job paying you, that's a big deal, right? So let me just clear that. Like your first $100, your first $1,000 that you can make on your own. The thing about it is, we have to realize that being able to create your own income stream should be a life skill that's taught at a very young age. It is critical that you're able to generate money without somebody telling you, we're going to pay you this amount of money for these amount of hours. And if you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. Being able to create your own lane like that is super powerful, and it's everything.
That's so true. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. It's about 12:35. I want to make sure that I get in some of your questions. So I have a couple more questions, but while I'm asking questions, you all go ahead and put in there your questions that you want to ask Danielle.
Okay.
And then we'll pick some questions out so we can ask her.
Okay.
But one other question that I have is, and then how did your family respond? Like, how has the money been able to change your life?
So, girl, how long we got to be on this thing? Because that is, honey, and it's weird. So I started polling the people in my general audience, like my Facebook group and on YouTube, and I'll say, hey, are you the go-to person in your family? And an overwhelming majority, like something like over 80%, they were that person. So I've been that person, and I attracted, people that have, they're the ones that people go to. But even that whole process is also a lot of work and trauma to unwind, because it's a pattern, and it started when I was probably 13. I was a caddy. I worked at a golf course, and I that's actually how I went to college. I got a Chick Evans caddy scholarship, believe it or not. The only black person probably in history to ever get this scholarship.
Wow, that's so cool.
So I
Okay.
went to, so I went to University of Illinois, and when I was a caddy though, every time I made money, I was always like giving money away. I was always giving money to people, never getting it back, like ever. When I got my first refund check freshman year at U of I immediately turned around. I had $2,000. I was like, oh, this is so much money. And I was like, here's 500, here's 700. Oh my, you need help paying the rent. And so that cycle right there, like if I hadn't been doing that, I could have hit this goal significantly sooner, right?
Mm,
That's why I tell people that the whatever traumas and issues that you're dealing with as a person, it always shows up in your business. So then when you start a business and you have this helping mindset and this give back thing, you start a business and you give all your stuff away for free because you know you're helping people, right? Or that's your goal. And then you end up being in a space where you're like, wow, I'm feeling taken advantage of, or I'm feeling, mistreated or abused. But then when you open the door like that, people just gonna keep walking in. So that's the bad news. The good news is that since you open the door, you're the same person that can close the door. And I'd encourage you to close it expeditiously in my TI voice, because it's not. That's also fear. That's the other thing. So the idea of, oh, I'm just out here helping people, I don't want to charge. No, you're just scared to charge. You're scared to ask for money. You're scared to charge. You're scared to charge a certain amount of money. So you put it under the guise of, I'm helping and I want to be of service. Now I'm not saying that people don't want to help, but I'm saying that it's a crutch that too many of us, myself included, have used for far too long. Yep.
wow. So it's not so if somebody is afraid to charge, it's a fear.
It's
It's a
they
fear.
are like, oh, I just want to help people. Okay.
It's and to tell you the truth, it's so you're so on point. Like we even talked about it in the last one, and Danielle Leslie was saying she's like it's a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. But then when you have somebody who doesn't want to charge and who's just out there helping and they're feeling like, oh, well, I just want to help the world. So I'm going to charge $25. It does a lot of times come out of fear that somebody will reject you if you ask for what you're worth. Because if I charge $500 and then they say no, then I'm going to be rejected. So I'm just going to charge $25 and then hope everybody likes it.
Yeah. And then they
Guys, like,
still won't pay the $25 either. So now you like,
they won't. And especially usually the people that you're talking to, they just want to get a discount. So as soon as they tell you, oh, I can't pay for it and I can't do this, and then you go look at their Instagram and see their Jordans and their trips, and then but for you, I can't do it. Then you lower the price thinking, okay, maybe I can really help this one person. Lower the price and they still can't pay it. So nope, that's a mindset thing. You got to shift your mindset. Ask what you're wanting, like ask what you deserve and what your value is. And if someone can't afford it, that's okay. Find someone else that can.
but then also you got to fix the issues internally too that drive that behavior as well. That's like all the stuff that's wrong with you as a person. It just shows up in your business time and time again. It's like you can't. The universe keeps saying, you know what? You didn't learn this lesson yet. Bam! Here is it. Here it is again. Let me slap you in the face with it again, and it just keeps coming, keeps coming, keeps coming. And so, like for me, and dealing with my family, I finally had to realize that yes, I want to help them. Of course, I love them, but there's also, and I learned this in Landmark. Somebody said it was a quote when Danielle Leslie was on, but Landmark was amazing. But I learned that there is a payoff that I'm getting from being the go-to person. These people gonna survive just fine without me, without you, without everybody who's watching. They gonna be all right. So since they're gonna be all right, you gotta just know that, and then continue to do the things that are best for you, as opposed to always overextending and helping and doing too much and not getting that same reciprocation in return.
What are some of the biggest mindset shifts you think people have to make to really become successful?
They have to learn how to focus. I mentioned that already. So
Yeah.
stop doing, seven different things and trying to get paid. Stop giving up. Oh my gosh, and I'm not just talking to, you. I'm always including myself in it. We give up on things entirely too easily. It's like we will work a job for 10 years, not get paid well, not get consistent raises, not get a bonus, just we take whatever they give us for 10 years straight. But then you start a business and in 10 weeks, not even 10 weeks, some of us in 3 weeks, if we don't see results, we throw the whole thing away, switch to an entirely different industry, and start over again. And then we rinse and repeat year after year after year. That's like all these things work. All the things work. All these things work. If you selling t-shirts, if you're doing hair, if you sell bundles, it all works if you work. But we have to stop giving up on ourselves with just such minimal effort. Like we put forth so little effort. It's like that meme that says, I've been dieting for 24 hours. I got on scale and I'm still the same weight. And that's kind of how we approach things. And it's funny, but there's a lot of truth to that. So stop giving up on the stuff that you say you want to do. Like if you want to do it, make that commitment to at least give it, half of the energy and grace that give it half the grace that you've given your job, as opposed to, giving your job so much grace and patience. And then when it comes to your own thing, you're like, nah, I'm done with that. That's stupid. That was a bad idea, or that didn't work.
Oh my gosh. She said, it all works if you work.
Yeah,
I love it. It all works if you work and give it half the grace that you gave your job.
half, ten
I
percent.
love that. You're like, you don't even got to give it all the grace you gave your job. Give it half the grace you gave your job and just don't give up.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, Danielle, you are amazing. And I saw in here, Patrinia was like, yes. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to make a little bit of a shift and I'm going to try to answer some of the questions and comments in here. Are there any other things that you wanted to say that you haven't said yet?
since I'm in real estate, I would say that a lot of people want to get started in real estate. And they say it and they phrase it that way. But I do want you to start thinking about being more specific in your ask. So, what part of real estate, what about the industry attracts you? What is your goal? Do you want just Are you looking to make an extra income stream? You just want a little bit of money to come a couple times a year? A lot of people are attracted to flipping because they think that it's a lot of money and it's very easy. Well, flipping is actually, for a lot of people, not that much money, and it's very, very difficult, which I'm sure you could attest to that as well. You know, when you are trying to flip a property, it takes a lot of focused effort and dedication and really good attention to detail. And most of us don't have that level of attention to detail. We're not that good with budgeting. We ain't that good with money. So if all of that sounds like you always losing something, can't find your checkbook, then lost your credit card, then flipping is not going to be your ministry. So you should just look for areas that kind of better fit your personality. So maybe it's tax lien investing. Maybe it's property preservation. You know, wholesaling is the thing right now. Everybody wants to wholesale. Wholesaling still takes work, though. You have to build your network of sellers and build your network of people who want to buy. Like, it's not nobody, it's no free lunch, it's no free money nowhere, right? Even it's trading, like to get to a level of expertise where you can consistently make money, all of that takes work. And it's not going to come in, 30 days or 60 days or 90 days, might even come in a year. But I promise you, if you stay the path and you stop letting yourself down, like, you will get there.
I feel like I should say amen. Like, amen. You were so on point. So on point. Even Gary said, he's like, Danielle is so on point. He's like, he was talking about, he's like, I have a tendency not to charge for my expertise. I guess fear has been my problem all along. So true. So true. Now, I see quite a few people on here asking about mentorship. So I think they want to know about your mentor, but can you tell them how can they get you to be a mentor? Like, tell them about your course and how they can
Oh,
reach you.
so I have two courses, again, because I'm focused on these two areas. One is property preservation mastery. One is tax lien investing. You can find out both, more information about both at realestateprofitlab.com. But there's free webinars which you can attend as well, and those are at daniellepierce.com. So I'd actually probably start with the webinars to get more information on what is preservation, what is tax lien investing. So the way I've redesigned both courses is that they're a 1997 price point, so basically $2,000. But I've switched it to where it's there. You have unlimited access to the course, but it's 8 weeks, and it's weekly Q&A sessions once a week. It's mini trainings that are done twice a month, so you get 4 of those during the 8 weeks. And then I created my coach told me to create these 5-day challenges. So you know how people pay for courses, don't do nothing, and then switch over and do something else. I'm like, nah, we're not doing that in my course. We gonna get you gonna finish this course. Like, my goal, you gonna finish it. And the reason why I'm so firm on that is because the people that I've worked with who hit the $100,000 mark in property preservation, they've logged onto the course over 45 times because I've tracked.
Mm.
I've started to track all my data on a very line item level of detail. So they've logged on at least 45 times. Some, I think the highest I saw was 105, and they complete all the tasks. They execute very well. They ask questions when they need to, but they're also really good about studying too as well. So I've been tracking that. I also track how long people take to get their first contract, how much money have they made, um, how long did it take them to complete the course. And so I've been finding that the average time to get a contract is 8 weeks. And then some people, 10% took 16 weeks, 10% take 12 weeks. So about 8 weeks is kind of the sweet spot. But I'm pushing people through now because I want, of course, I want the testimonial and the end result, but I want you to get the end result. Like, I want you to finish it because I know that it works. I know that there's money to be made. And so I can help you do that. So that's kind of how both courses are structured. Tax liens is only 23 states, and those states are listed on the website. Not all 50 just yet, because tax liens is a lot to learn, and my brain is full. You see how big my head is, so it's running out. It's running out of space.
You're like, I only got limited brain space to think
I
about
gotta
this.
forget something else to make room for the rest of the tax lien stuff. But yeah, I have I feel like over 300 5-star reviews right now. So 100 Google business reviews, 100 on Facebook business page, and another 100 on the course platform. So, and y'all know Black people do
Congratulations.
not leave reviews easily.
They don't. They don't. That's saying something. The fact that you have 300, yes. Oh my gosh. Congratulations. Like really, Danielle, I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud of you. Like, congratulations. And I know like you've been doing your business longer than I have, but just like seeing your Black Girl Magic makes me smile. Like I'm just happy. I want to see you succeed. I want to see all of us
I do.
succeed, but it's so cool.
It is. That's what I was
It's
thinking
so
too. Like I
cool.
know the best entrepreneurs. Like, how did I get this life? Like, really?
Now, I do have somebody on here said, would you recommend a real estate license even though you work more on the investor side?
You know what? That is a great question. I don't know how I missed that because people ask it all the time. So if you want your real estate license, just, what's the reason that you want it and what's your plan for getting it? I mean, I still have mine in Illinois. I'm probably never going to let it go. I'm actually a managing broker. But you don't need a license to do tax lien investing. You don't need a license to do property preservation. And getting your license doesn't give you any more insight into pretty much anything. It just allows you to be able to represent buyers and sellers. So just know that going into it so you're not surprised and thinking you're going to come out of there a real estate investor like I did.
Right. I think people assume that going through the school will teach them, but honestly, it's the work that teaches you. You go through the school, you learn enough to take the test, and then on the ground is where you actually learn all everything else. And
Even how to
then
run comps. You don't even learn that really in most real estate schools.
not really. Mm-mm. They don't like for at least the schools that I went to in Texas. I'm a managing broker there. They usually don't open a computer during the class. Everything is a book, and you're just looking at it and answering questions. So if comps are done on the computer, then you probably won't learn that in school.
Yep.
But that's actually a general theme. I feel like a lot of times you don't learn things in school. Like, what's your thoughts right now on? And then I'll go to some more questions. But what's your thoughts on? Do people need to go to a traditional education? Because like what you're doing, does it take college education?
No, I know I have a colleague in property preservation. She's actually a pretty significantly younger than I am. She is 29. She got in the industry when she was 18. She does $4 million a year in revenue. Um, yeah, and she's not even 30 years old. But somebody told her about it at a very young age, and that's how she knew about the industry. So you don't even have to have even a high school diploma. Like if the business is there, the background check is good, and you have the right insurance, and you get the right contract with a servicing company, that's really all that you need. So in terms of college, like I can only speak for my children. Like, I'm not going to push them to go to college the way that I was pushed. It was kind of like go to college or else. And it's like, well, what's the or else? And why am I going to college? I feel like we send our children to college too often with no specific plan, and or we just want bragging rights. Oh, my baby go to U of I. My baby got into Harvard. My baby go to this school. But sending your children and 18 is still a kid. Like let's be very clear about that. Ain't nothing magical happening when a child turns 18. That's still a kid. So you send them off to college, and they're in this new environment trying to grow, figure themselves out. And if you go to a big school like I did, it's honestly sink or swim, Terry. So like if I didn't have the personality that I had, I wouldn't have made it at U of I. And a lot of black people, like black students, typically don't do well in those, 30,000, 40,000 enrollment schools because they don't care about you freshman year. So, like, I went to class freshman year with 500 other people. So, you are the last four digits of your social security number. And that's how you get your grades. And that's how they know who you are until like your third year. But you got to make it to your third year. So, if you are sending your children to college, have a plan. They shouldn't be going into graduating with $100,000 worth of debt. And I don't even care. It used to be people would say if you're going to be a doctor or an attorney, that's okay. I don't think so because I don't think doctors and attorneys are making the money that they used to make. So I think that you have a plan. Don't take on a bunch of debt, and just be open to other things. I'm not saying everybody got to be a business owner, but just the whole idea of going to college and that being a guarantee, it's not.
I agree with you because a lot of the people that I talk to now that are millionaires, they actually are doing something that didn't require school.
Yeah.
So whether they're in real estate, meat, trading, like it does require training, but it's more of like a trade school, like something that what we're doing is more specific and you need to actually learn from someone who's done it successfully. So you need to take some courses. And I just imagine that in the future, there's probably going to be some more things kind of like go to college or take these courses to actually learn this set, the skill set.
Was it Elon Musk who just said he's hiring? He's like, I don't care about your degree. The guy, Elon Musk, I think from the guy behind Tesla, he did that. Google is not requiring a degree for a lot of their things. Like, it's already happening. Like, we got, somebody said when Black people started getting the degrees started losing value. Like, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm just saying, like, it has definitely diminished in value. Like, that is a fact.
Yeah. And I do think one of the biggest things so I went to MIT, and I would say, like, I would do it again, and I would encourage my students, my future kids. Hopefully I get some. I'm gonna need a boyfriend first, though. I'm just saying, Lord, hopefully you hear me, but I'm just saying.
Just to throw that in there.
Wait, since we talking about it. No, but I'm going to encourage mine to go. I think it did teach me how to think.
Yes.
So at MIT, like, we did mostly, but of course it depends on your college too and your experience. But we did mostly math and science. Like, those were all prerequisites. And I think that what those things did is it taught me how to think and how to problem solve. And so now anything I go into, I know how to problem solve. And then also it gave me a network. So I would say that those are two things that are kind of priceless. But at the same time, you got to think about it. Nowadays, with the tuitions being $40,000 a year, is a network worth, $160,000.
It's generational debt is what it's creating. It's creating a situation where people are graduating, dying, still owing student loans, and it's passing down. Like, it is ridiculous right now in the student loan, with the student loan fiasco. And I just don't know where it's going to end at this point.
Yeah, but we digress. I don't want us to get too much in the weeds. I thank you guys so much for coming and joining us. I saw so many awesome questions, and I saw you guys talking about, like, creating group me's and mentorships. Okay. y'all are doing it. But once again, Annette has posted here in the comments Danielle's course. Do you want to say the website one more time, Danielle?
Sure. My website is daniellepierce.com. You could go there to find to register for any of the free trainings, or you could click on the link in my bio on Instagram, which is also at Danielle Pierce. And then my website is Real Estate Profit Lab. I have a YouTube channel, but if you just, any of those platforms will be fine. You can get all the information there.
Awesome. And then I see some people asking about me. For my course, you can go to Invest with Terry, and that's where we're teaching people how to invest in stocks and options. And we would love you to be one of the 1,000 people that we're teaching how to make $1,000 in a day. And our students are killing it, y'all. Like, it's been so awesome. Like, even today, like, one of them was like, oh yeah, I made $4,000 today. Another person in the Facebook group, I made $12,000 today. They be just killing it. And I'm like, y'all are good. Yeah. So feel free to check us out at investwithterry.com. And then I think I saw several people asking about the replay. If you're already registered, within 24 hours, it usually sends a replay in your email. So just look for it either tonight or tomorrow, and it should send you a replay of this. Share it. I would love you all to share that replay link with as many people as possible. And if somebody in here is like, man, they were just talking. Yeah, y'all, that was the point. We just want to let you in on some conversations between millionaires. Like, this is the type of things that sometimes you don't get to hear someone say. So we hope that this inspires you, and we hope to see you in this series as someone who's earned $1 million or reached $1 million of something, whether that's podcast downloads, YouTube video views, whatever you do, real estate portfolio, like, just kill it. Just whatever you do, just kill it. All right. Well, we will talk to you all later. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you, Danielle.
It was a pleasure. Be safe, Terry, and I'll see you when you get back.
Thank you. Bye.
I am Alex.
And I'm Selenia, and we made $1,000 in a day.
We got to a point back in late 2018 where my job had asked me to do an assignment at a different site in a different state. And the thing was, she had her job in one city, I had my job in another, and it was just a tough situation. And we got to the point now where we made our last move and got to the point where, because Selenia is trading and she's doing so consistently and really built that skill set, she didn't need to go find another job.
There were times where I had to keep my job. So even though he was 1,000 miles away, like, you know, when you're answering to those corporate gods, like you still, you know, essentially we had to do long distance. And, you know, it was exciting because when he did get the opportunity to go to Chicago, we didn't have to pass up the opportunity waiting for the right opportunity for me. I looked around and realized I already had it.